Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That was an intro to the chess show. So, would you like me to do the chess show or modern investing show? So, we'll find out real soon. In the meantime,
That was a big mistake on my part. Like I said, it's the holidays. My mind is totally off of it. So I'm going to pop off and we're going to start again and I'll trim this part off and everything like that. So we're going to do it right. So let me pull it off and we'll get it right. So just get ready for another introduction.
hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are going to do investment show, modern investing. My name is Sasha Starr, and our guests today are Dr. Milan Somberg. Welcome to the show,
Thank you
Milan.
for inviting me, Sasha. I hope I have something to contribute.
Exactly, and we will start with you very shortly. And Jim Eid from Eid Foundation, welcome to the show.
Welcome to you. Then this is all green on my screen. It must be a Wednesday.
Yeah, it is Wednesday, and NVDY announced a dividend of 16 cents, slightly over 16 cents. 16 cents is a good one, and maybe slowly climb up. NVDY, as we already know, depends a lot on the NVIDIA movement. And right now, NVIDIA is a little bit in retreat, but it's very temporarily because the upgrades are slowly coming up. And I have no doubt that early next year we will see 200 and more. It was already 211 or 212 just recently. So I don't think the 200 is a big deal. And we'll see it soon. And in the meantime, I would like to start, Milan, with you. So tell us your observation of S&P 500, because a lot of people are watching this index.
But if there are new viewers here, they will benefit from David Swensen's recommendation to invest in asset allocation.
Is it new recommendation or it's old one?
This is it's a new recommendation.
New recommendation. Okay.
New. It's an old one, but it's to new viewers. Some people here are new viewers; they haven't heard about it. So I sound like a broken record. But the best way, according to David Swensen, who was David Swensen? He ran the Yale University Endowment Fund, the best performing endowment plan on the planet. So he knows what he's talking about. And he said, invest in of your investment is in US dollars and 50% is in an exchange traded fund which tracks the US economy, and SPY happens to be the best. I'll describe later why if anybody is interested. So 50% in US cash and 50% in SPY. Now, when the market goes up and you have a lot more of SPY than cash, you take profits to bring it back to 50-50. When the market tanks and dives and SPY is cheap, you take your cash and buy it inexpensively, buy it at bargain rates to bring it back.
Quick question. What if US dollar also runs down together with...
Well, the thing is this, Sasha, this system will fail when the American empire collapses. Empires have 100% failure rate, and one of these days the American empire will collapse, although it sure doesn't look like it now. All foreign investment funds, most of them rather, are in the US dollar and the US economy. So that works really well, and so I recommend it to anybody who is new to the show. People who have been watching the show, I always talk about the prospects of doing better than that are close to zero. Although a few people have done it, I think you may have done it, Sasha. Star is your name, Star is your performance record too. And I think, James, you may have done it too. Most people cannot do it, so I cannot recommend it well. Now, of the few certainties of the market, they're likely to continue. A trend is more likely to continue than it is to reverse itself. But a trend reversal is an absolute certainty, no question about it. So now, investors are expecting the Federal Reserve to cut its interest rate in December. So the market continues to rise at an unreasonable level. Now, that's the really worrisome thing for me. The cyclically adjusted price earnings ratio now is at 40. Anything above 30 is dangerous and has only been seen at the year 2000 dot-com bubble and the 1929 market crash. That's the only time that the cyclically adjusted price earnings ratio has been at the level that it is now. One of these days, the market will collapse. So that's what I have to say. And how do you?
Except it could be for some time by now, and people like Michael Burry, who is saying that NVIDIA is overpriced and artificial intelligence trade is over and everything will going down, and he's short of NVIDIA.
When did you say that, Sasha? When did you say that?
He said that on several websites, including he's being quoted by many website, and if that's not true, he would have said so by now. He would say, sorry, people are quoting me that I have a huge short position on NVIDIA and Palantir, and guess what? I'm long both NVIDIA and Palantir. That could happen.
Well, how's NVIDIA done?
It was down yesterday. It was higher last week after the earnings. So, I mean, it's taking its base, it's forming the base around $180 plus minus. And I think it will move decisively to over 200 early next year, or maybe even Santa Claus rally. And I have no doubts whatsoever, because they are selling everything, whatever they can produce. Everything. They don't have any products, actually. So if you want to buy some NVIDIA products, you have to book several months in advance. And don't forget that sooner or later, China trade will open for NVIDIA. It will happen because Trump will have to get on his knees and ask very nicely Xi to accommodate him. And why it's going to happen? Because, as you remember, on his last trip to Asia, Xi gave him 1 year for this rare metals substances, and I think about 3-4 months already passed by. So in another 2 months, when there will be 6 months left for this agreement to expire, Trump will Emperor Xi in certain places to stay alive, because otherwise.
You know what, Sasha? Canada has everything just because it's so large. You know, the second largest country on the planet after Russia. So it's got to have everything because it occupies so much of the planet. So those rare earths are present in Canada unquestionably. I'm not sure whether they have all been discovered, but they're there.
Rare earth metals than China. It's very possible. But China controls production of the finished product. That's where China excels, and Canada is nowhere close to it. Not that it cannot, but it's just not there right now. However, let's talk about the market. So I think that the first, perhaps second week of December will be very challenging. Because this is a short week, so all the professionals are on vacations and so on. So they will come back next week. They will do some adjustments of their positions, and that could lead to market going down. big time, and perhaps two. I'm not so sure. First week of December will be challenging, and then probably Santa Claus rally probably will come. It's, nobody counts on that. What do you think, Jim?
So when the market collapses, which is inevitable, absolutely inevitable, what will happen to Nvidia? Of course.
I think it will be very healthy. It will go down to 165 because that's where the real buying will materialize. Because right now people are on the sidelines. They're saying, okay, yeah, it's a great company, but maybe the stock is slightly overpriced. If it's overpriced, it may go down. How far it will go down? Let's say set 10%. Okay, so it can go from this level 10%, but it was already 212. So from this levels 25. So I don't think it could go lower than say 165, and it's not going to stay there. It will bounce very quickly from that level. If it will go to that level, I'm not so
Well,
sure.
when NVIDIA
Jim, what do you
announced its earnings, they were eye-popping. They were so good. It was amazing. And people just shrugged because they were expecting it. And that's one of the things that we take for granted now, is that this continued revenue will continue. And I think that basically that's the right thing to think, because I think that there's no sign that demand for artificial intelligence and chips that support them, and the companies that have been poised to deliver those chips, that processing need is going to continue and increase. And there are a lot of naysayers that say we're in a bubble, and I see no signs of that. I don't see it like the dot-com era, which I lived through, and I sold right before it collapsed. I sold about half of my portfolio. The reason I did that was I was I was at lunch, and I was overhearing this two Stanford students talking to one another, and the boy was pitching to the girl his launch. He was going to launch his new business, and my ears perked up because I always think, the one thing I learned very early on was an old investor would say, I got out of the market when my cab driver started talking about his portfolio. And it was like, when people are just assuming that anything with the dot-com after it was going to get money poured into it. And it was true in the 90s at a certain point. All the vulture capitalists were pouring money into anything with the dot-com, but there was no revenue. And so eventually that caught up to people with the lack of revenue. But what we're seeing with the AI is tremendous revenue, unbelievable eye-popping revenue. And we can't overlook that. Now, when will that stop? Will it stop eventually? Yes. Is it going to stop in the near-term future? No. And I think that we should be optimistic. And history has shown that going on from about now, maybe a month from now till April, investors tend to be optimistic, and the market is getting support. And now I think they've already priced in the Fed rate into the market. So if they don't do it, there will be some short-term repercussions. But I'm just going to ignore that because I'm looking at what I can foresee for the near-term future, and especially the sector that I'm concentrating on, which is the AI sector. All my screen is green right now, and that's not been an unusual thing for me. It's been green a lot on Wednesdays, and I just picked one stock, all of the AI stocks that I've invested in, and this includes Marvell, NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, which are old dusty chip makers, but that have done a good pivot into AI. And the Biden administration passed the CHIPS Act, which was given a big boost to companies like Intel, and allowed them to do that pivot. So now that they're in the market and they're fighting, there's only going to be a few companies, a handful of companies that are going to be successful in this. So there are going to be AI-oriented companies that are not successful. And what I look at is, are they generating revenue? Are they burdened by debt, or are they generating revenue? If they're not burdened by debt and they're generating revenue, then why wouldn't I bet on them to continue? There's no reason that I can foresee, except for a total collapse, in which case it doesn't matter what I'm invested in. So as long as the companies are still poised to continue to profit from this, I'm going to be in the market in those companies. And so far it's been rewarding me, and I don't see that changing. And I'm going to be looking as far as maybe April. And beyond that, who knows what's going to happen? There may be some sort of geopolitical things. But, the empire collapse and the collapse of the U.S. dollar, one of the variables is the president. The president is Donald Trump, and he's done his best to devalue the dollar, alienate the rest of the world against the United States. And these types of things are going to impact people. Right now, they're feeling it a little bit, but they're going to continue to feel it. Because trading partners, the Republican Party used to be all for free trade, and I think it's the best thing to do to engage with countries that you have issues with, to engage them in trade levels. It's a good way to continue to be politically talking to one another and working together, and to find solutions that allow you to continue to allow your companies to make money trading with each other. And Trump is throwing a monkey wrench into that. And so this can be a problem going forward, but I don't see it derailing the AI industry and the AI companies.
Jim, speaking about Trump, if you know his history, it's not a history of cooperating with people or corporations or anything. His view of the deal is to prevail, to squeeze trace of any cooperation or anything to do something together.
Winner takes it all.
Winner takes it all, and that's what probably it works in real estate. If he wouldn't do that, he wouldn't have 6 bankruptcies. He would have 26 bankruptcies. He had only 6 because of his successful business methods. But I don't think this methods have anything to do with international politics. That's why there is a fiasco after fiasco. Israel, Russia and Ukraine, it's a total disaster. Witkoff says one thing, Rubio says another thing. They're all playing with Putin one way or another. This is
on his program, his peace program is really just whatever Putin wanted. Yeah. He's advancing a peace program, and it's entirely giving Russia what it wants.
You know, surprisingly, Russia still will not sign anything. It will go on. Putin is playing for time. He's very skillful. He learned Trump quite a bit. So he's now playing for time. Okay, we have to do some changes over here. It actually hasn't even started yet. It's just in the future. So when everything will be agreed between Trump and Zelensky, if it will be agreed, then comes Putin, and Putin says, so what is that? No, absolutely no way, unless we change this and this. So from 28 points, he will change 27.5. It will be a completely different deal.
But why would Zelensky agree to this proposal? I don't understand.
He's not. Europeans are on his side firmly, and actually Zelensky, without Europeans, he would more quickly to sign it than with Europeans involved. Europeans don't want to hear about this deal. They want to continue, and it's just the time. Oh, by the way, you know the latest news I've heard just recently, today, actually, that China is very interested in this deal. And what they're saying, well, we're talking about a new world order, essentially. And for example, part of China, nobody denied. Even you agreed to that, except that you don't want us to have military power involved or so on and attack. Also, China has already assembled a flotilla of 20,000 ships. Most of them are not military, rather civilian ships, ready to do that. And Trump is involved in this, and Ukraine and Israel and Venezuela. How he's going to do it all?
Yeah. Well, there was a company, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, that I was promoting a couple of years ago, and it made a good amount of money for me, and it was very well poised as a chip manufacturer. But the geopolitical ramifications made me sell because I'd basically gotten the number that I wanted out of it, and who knows what could happen if China acts on it. And all I know is that Trump is not, although he's trying to get a Nobel Prize awarded to him for what, I don't know, but he's not a peacemaker, and he's, yeah. Well, I don't know if Biden did or Obama.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't he already started war against Venezuela? Absolutely against any law, international, domestic, any.
Yes, that is indisputable that he's done this without any evidence that he's battling drug cartels. It could be, just random boats that are in the ocean and they bombed them. And that's something that used to be shocking, used to be a scandal, and now people just shrug their shoulders.
Concerned about is unquestionably Trump has cognitive decline. And there's a provision in the Constitution, American Constitution, to eliminate a president who has recognized cognitive decline. When,
the 25th Amendment to the Constitution.
Okay. So when will that happen to Trump?
When people will start begging J.D. Vance to start the proceedings. He doesn't want to start himself because he believes that it's risky, he may not succeed, and then all his political career is done. So he's waiting until almost all congressmen and senators and everybody will beg him, please, let's do something. When it happens, it will be done easily and quickly. So we'll see about that. So in the meantime, all the corporations now, you see, when you're looking at U.S. leading corporations, they are all waiting for another 3 years of Trump. And they have to bring him all kind of presents and bribe him left and right or so on. They are in survival mode. They're doing well financially, they have money, they have good businesses, but they want to survive because any of them who is not in Trump's graces, any company, let's say a Meta, for example, he doesn't like Zuckerberg. So he will say, Senate, okay, start proceedings. He's crook, he's stealing money from US. Okay, let's just do. And they will start investigation, which will last 3 years until he is in power. And what Meta is going to do about that? So they have to all get on their knees and make sure that he's happy with them and he's getting all the presents and all the bribes and everything else. This is today's America, and this is a survival mode. That's really
another term by Trump is unconstitutional. He's already had eight years in office, and having more than that is unconstitutional. He's going to do everything possible to have additional powers, stay as president, and that he can do that by having war somewhere. During times of war, a president can stay in office for any length of time as long as the war is there. And so that's what Trump is probably planning to do.
Well, we used to have 3 equal branches of government, and with the Trump administration, he increased the executive power. And there's no time in history where it was the reach of the executive branch extended into the Justice Department, for example. And people are starting to grow a spine in Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, has offered her resignation, and the legal system is starting to rule against Trump. For example, because of his petty little pique and irritation with Comey and James, the attorney that he didn't like, and so he started the Justice Department. He put a lawyer in place to charge them, and even over the objections of everybody in the Justice Department, she filed charges against them, and the judge just dismissed those charges because it was it was an improper act of the executive branch to put somebody in place to do just that. And so it's going to be up to the Supreme Court eventually. It will play out at some point. But we're seeing that the courts are starting to fight back. We're seeing that the Republicans in Congress are starting to display their discontent. So some of these things we're going to see, and whether or not the midterms go a certain way, that might be another sign that Americans have become fed up with the way Trump is acting. It's hard to underestimate the what was it saying? I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it. Is you don't get rich by underestimating the ignorance of the American people. But I think that these signs are there. There's still going to be a block about 1/3 that is Trump can do no wrong. We want him as a dictator. But I think that there's going to be a majority of people that are saying, hey, and economically, I'm suffering. Inflation has not been tamed, and I have fewer choices on the grocery shelves, and they're more expensive. So they're going to be fed up with the people in power, and they're going to start to replace them. Throw the bums out is something the Americans have always done. And so if they're unhappy, if they're not economically doing well, then they're going to take their frustration out at the polls. And it's usually the incumbents that suffer. And so I think the Republicans are waking up to this, and they're losing their medical health care. That's going to upset a lot of people. And in states, especially states that have been solid red, like Missouri and Georgia and these types of things, you might see some other representation coming from those states in the not too distant future. And all of this is giving me a glimmer of hope that we will survive this, as Americans have survived so much.
James, the number of former Trump supporters who no longer support him, that number is increasing.
Yes.
And
that's clear.
That's encouraging. Yeah.
There is obviously a growing disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street. Although Wall Street is doing quite well and is growing further, the Main Street, especially that a lot of data is hidden, and I'm not so aware of any timing when it will be shown finally. So the unemployment numbers, for example, the creation of new jobs, any data is suppressed by now.
Well, the government shutdown really did a number on reporting.
Absolutely. And by the way, in January, it could be another shutdown just as easily if there will be no agreement on health and so on. So there could be another shutdown. And I'm not sure how people will survive such a chaotic management and rule of Republican Party, which allows shutdowns and when everything is so uncertain.
The healthcare and the Social Security, these are the poorest of the people in our country, and they generally voiceless. But enough of these people are getting they have the right to vote, and if they exercise the right to vote, they can express their unhappiness and throw the incumbents out. And I believe that is growing. That sentiment is growing, is that, hey, they're taking away my health care. There are the premiums that I will have to pay now for the same health care that I used to get at a discounted rate. I'm going to have to pay triple or more than that. And this is not something I can afford. I will have to give up my health care.
America has the most expensive health care system on the planet, and the results are not very good at all. When you think,
and without this insurance, people can't afford to pay it. They can't afford it.
Leading cause of personal bankruptcy. Leading cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare. I'm on a medication which costs me $14 dispensing fee here in Canada. In the United States, it costs $29,000 a month. Now, who can afford that? How many people can afford that? So now, when you take a look at the measurable results of the American healthcare system, it's pretty damn poor. The most expensive healthcare system in the world. But when you take a look at life expectancy, which is a measurable result of the effectiveness of healthcare, America is way down, way down. Yeah.
By the way, Milan, the $29,000 let's suppose that you have insurance and insurance will cover it, but you still have a deductible, and that deductible could be a few $1,000s, which you have to pay from your pocket. So it's not a very pretty, even if you're insured, it's not a great deal. Well, gentlemen, all I can say is that we will see each other next week on, it's going to be December 3rd. So we will see what's unraveling and how the stock market is doing. And I will be very surprised if it will continue going higher. I have no problem with that personally.
It's overpriced. Yeah.
Yeah, it's overpriced. It's going to be overpriced for another 5 years.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Exactly right. Yes. And so Thanksgiving, the market is closed, and the day after, the market is open for a shorter period. Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for today's program.
Thank you, Sasha.
We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Enjoy your long weekend, Jim.
Looking forward to it.
We will enjoy ourselves too here in Canada.
Yes,
Bye
thank
bye,
you.
everybody. See you next
Be
time.
happy. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.